So you say you're gonna sing. Sing a rap.
Rap,
About,
yes. Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's called hip hop.
Well, yeah, the culture is hip hop.
Okay.
So the culture is hip hop. Our spoken word form is rapping, which is usually poetry that has a connection to a 4/4 time signature.
Okay.
Usually.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
this is a song I wrote about police brutality, short but sweet. Roadblocks in the way now. No, not grenade rounds when a whole block gets sprayed down by some more cops who hate brown. With my hands up, I get laid down. If I stand up, I get banged down with their hoods on the riot gear. They inspire fear, they bring pain round. Same sound that my dad heard as his dreams flew like a blackbird that got shot down, captured. Revolution is his last word. I'm standing on my last nerves, but that's third. When we're living up in the projects, we that scared, cause these cops is some bastards. They shoot us like Ku Klux, spraying brothers faster than Hussein Bolt and some new Chucks. The man ain't giving two. The game is how they do us, got screwed up maneuvers just trying to raise our mood up. We break laws to chew some food up. We're fighting over a few bucks, so the side you gotta choose up, cause forget the middle, my spit'll be fighting blue blood, cause the war's on and the block's cursed, and it's gonna get a lot worse. So when I see a cop hearse, I remember they shot first, and often. Yeah.
Okay. So this one is about cops.
Yeah, it's that's my anger. I'm very mad, and I do think all cops are bastards. All cops who don't fight against oppression off top. I think if you're a part of an oppressive system and you aren't fighting that, you're a part of the problem. And I think the problem is a
They
messed up thing.
also, I saw Bernie Sanders speak this week, and he was saying that the cops should dress like civilian because they should not be armed like the army. What do you think?
I think cops should be a part of the community. I
Yes,
think
that's
that
what
community.
he was saying. They should be part of the community.
I think community should be in control of policing. I think that a cop shouldn't be able to come from a white suburb
with guns and
with
everything.
guns into a black neighborhood with prejudice and bias,
And start shooting everywhere.
and start shooting brown people. It happens all the time. It happens all the time.
Even if people
It'll happen
protest
5 or
it.
6 times this year in Hunters Point. They
And
just
people
killed
go on the
a
street.
pregnant black lady in her car, and that's why Chief Sir stepped down. Yeah.
You guys protested that?
Yeah, we protest everything. I mean, the funny thing is that a lot of times people, when we protest cop violence, I hear this all the time. Well, you guys don't say anything about black on black crime. Well, first off, white people kill white people just as much as black people kill black people, but we don't hear white on white crime ever because the idea and the notion that we're some super predator is rampant in the society. All right, so black on black crime is a racist term, and it's one that denies the violence in white communities that is higher in a lot of ways. But the thing is that when we talk about police brutality, we talk because it affects us, but we also talk about our own stuff. We protest when our people die by our own hands. We have our leaders out there talking about black on black crime way more than people in white communities are talking about white on white crime. It seems like they're in denial about the fact that even happens because when we have these ideas about who's taking crack cocaine, for example, we think of black people when white people have always done more crack. When we think of ideas of drug addicts, the normal drug addict in America is a white male between the ages of 16 to 24. It's not a black person who's like not worth it. But we have these conditioned views of who's what and what's who in society that's really built on racism. And these narratives they're not new. They're so very old. You know what I'm saying? So we got to get our real selves out there. We got to let people know that, hey, we've been protesting violence in our community since there's been violence in our communities. No matter who's doing it. Nobody wants to see our babies die. But I think a lot of the times that the news can show and talk as if we don't, as if we only care about police violence.
Where do you rap?
I rap everywhere I can. I rap in the shower. I rap when I'm driving.
No, I mean, do you go in front of audiences?
Yeah, often. I actually just was blessed with the opportunity to rap at 2016 San Francisco Pride Festival. And I was on the main stage right in front of City Hall, and that was such an epic moment for me. Hip Hop for Change was presenting some of our queer artists.
Okay. Do you go see the mayor once in a while?
I dislike the mayor. I think he's a horrible person. I don't support him. I think he should be kicked out of office.
What did he do?
Swiftly. He supports the oligarchy. He doesn't support brown and black struggle. He is continuing a legacy of kicking black people out of Hunters Point, kicking poor people out of the Mission, kicking Latinos out, and kicking people who are native here out in exchange for giving tax breaks to big companies like Twitter and Google to drive buses and not pay the city anything, and have workers who are getting so much money they don't care about negotiating for low rent prices. So people are losing their homes. Mayor Ed Lee does not care about black people. I'm not going to take that back like Kanye West did. He doesn't. He doesn't. Care is an action. It's not a statement. You know what I'm saying? If you tell your girlfriend, baby, I love you, baby, I love you, but you never do anything to show that, it's just you're being sold a bill of goods. And Mayor Ed Lee is not here for anybody who's native to San Francisco. He's not. He's here for people who want to bring big money to change this to a city that doesn't accept my skin color even more. And so when I walk in the Mission and I look at parks that used to have a lot of problems, and they've now invested in, I see all these rich white folks running around with their babies, and then there's a $6.50 hot cocoa cup, and I can't even afford hot chocolate in the Mission now. You know what I'm saying? I see that as death and destruction and violence. And I know a lot of people are very removed from the ghetto and very removed from these poor neighborhoods, so they don't see it. And they don't see the pain. They don't see families crying as they pack their stuff up. They don't see families fighting every single night over money because they don't see that stuff. They're in these little, nice insulated neighborhoods where they have security guards walking around. You know what I'm saying? So they don't see the pain. So for everybody that's not in the hood, you have to know this is a war going on, and it might not be people in the streets with AK-47s, but they're destroying our lives, And so we're angry, we're pissed.
Do you have a job?
I have a business that I started 3 years ago.
Okay.
And I got my own paycheck and I sign it. You know why?
Oh, okay.
Because I didn't want to go work for a corporation or make somebody else rich.
What do you do?
I'm the executive director of Hip Hop for Change. So.
Oh, Hip Hop for
Yeah,
Change.
yeah, absolutely.
So you raise money with that?
Yeah, we
Is
actually.
it the 501c3?
It is. I actually learned to do all the paperwork myself, and in the end, I got a really cool lawyer to help me out to do it. I developed it. I was one of the first black directors for I was actually the first black director for Greenpeace San Francisco. The folks that stand out on the street corner and they wave to you, talk about polar bears. And I just wanted to work for my own community. And so I took my last paycheck.
Do you see any progress since you started 3 years ago?
I see progress in my community. I mean, you got to think about it. If you're a local progressive hip hop artist, nobody's going to pay you to open up and rap for them because the companies that are out here are not hip hop culture. They're companies that are making money off hip hop entertainment. And so the kids who are buying that don't live in my neighborhoods. They come from Marin and they're suburban white kids with money, and they don't want to hear me rap about politics and what's going on in black communities. They want to hear sex, drugs, money, and cars. That's what they buy homogeneously, pretty much.
Okay.
So I don't get to rap on Camille Records. It's not local radio. I don't get to open up for Lil Wayne when he comes out here. So our careers are dying. So for what we need is self-determination to be able to make our own stages. And that's what Hip Hop for Change does. Last year in 2015, we gave out 78 paychecks to local progressive artists that are hip hop that wouldn't got paid otherwise. Last year we taught 2,000 students in almost 40 schools the history of hip hop culture, where they can learn to express themselves and not have to be gangsters, as most of our kids don't want to be, but to find themselves, find their identity, find their voice. We get them breakdancing, rapping, doing graffiti. Our last hip hop show, we had Dead Prez, one of the biggest underground political rap groups, and it was an environmental equity summit. So we had an hour-long panel discussion with Dr. Paloma Pavel from Earth Justice and Carl Anthony and, Davey D from Hard Knock Radio and KPFA. So this is the hip-hop that I know. The hip-hop artists that I know do things like have vegan hip-hop shows where they rap about vegan food and they feed you vegan food. I got a guy who raps in front of a jazz band on a stool with a harmonica and sings. We have Charity Clay, who's a PhD sociology professor at Merritt College, and she raps like a beast. And these are our role models that our kids need to be able to see. But it's so hard to see them because we have this overarching industry that doesn't serve us, that's taking the space for it. So we need to build our own platform, and it's working. It's working. Right now we're expanding to San Jose, and hopefully by the end of 2017 we could be in LA as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
So before we go, can you do one more number?
Yeah, absolutely. Yo, I'm free. Inside of my mind, I keep peeking, that heat seeking, that lyrical street sweeping, that deep speaking so my fam could keep it keeping. I got beats leaking. Damn, it beats sleeping on the streets weeping. It's weak. We're still scrapping for ill rapping. Grills and dollar bills happen to kill that when corporate shills will fill black men with deal packing thugs. Skills lacking love and brothers die. So I gotta take back the flow from these suckers who stuck us to the fake raps that blow our brothers' brains away. Away the flavors of the hood and the casualties actually weak. So I kick it to your right brain. Out the game, I spread my wings on the better things and taste whatever weather brings over every means and taste a level never seen by these troubled kings in search of green. See?
Oh, wow. Do you come from a middle class family or
No.
No?
No.
Come from a poor family.
Yeah, relatively. I mean, we always had clothes on our back, and my mom always had food on the table. And
Was it a big family?
yeah, I have a huge family. Well, my nuclear family, I have an older brother and a younger sister. My dad's one of 6 boys, and my mom's one of 7 kids.
So it's a huge family?
Huge
Brothers
family.
and
Thanksgiving is cracking at my house.
Oh, cousins and nephews.
Yeah, although I do not support Thanksgiving, let me just say.
Okay.
Racist holiday.
It's
but
just a holiday.
it's food day.
It's food day.
It's family food day. But yeah, I come from Hunters Point. Hunters Point, if you go down a little
People
bit
have a
to
lot of
3rd
kids.
Street. I think I don't know. I don't think I've looked at the statistics on the size of families, but I usually I'm guessing. It
You have
seems
children
like,
yet?
huh?
You have children?
No, I haven't found my queen yet, and I got an empire to build right now. So
You're working on it.
yeah, I'm working on it. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm a good catch. So we'll see. Hey, ladies, how y'all doing? call me.
Okay, but you don't
but-
seem to have any anger or resentment. You seem pretty
No,
happy person.
I'm happy, but I'm also livid. I'm a real human being. I'm nuanced, I'm compartmentalized. I'm trying to beat back the side of myself that was born with hate. When I was young, I hated white people, and my best friend was white. You know what I'm saying? So no one's black and white. Yeah, you gotta unpack this stuff and deal with it. So I am livid on the inside when I think of cops, but I'm enjoying myself right now, having the voice to speak out about it. I'm enjoying this situation right now because this gives me opportunity to actually do something, to speak out. Somebody might hear this.
Did you ever sing at the Juneteenth festival?
Yeah,
No more.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
I've rapped everywhere. I got to open up right before Trump from the AFL-CIO talked at the 2010 Democratic National Convention with Van Jones, a good friend.
I videotaped him.
I love that guy. I'm trying to model my career after him.
He's trying
What's
to get
up,
people
Van?
out of jail.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's his mission.
Yeah, and that's a
How
lot
come
better
he has
than.
not succeeded?
Well, he's a guy fighting the system, and he's an awesome guy. It's an uphill battle.
His book's not barred. That's his book.
That's like
he wrote a book. Books not bars.
Yeah. But I'll tell you this. I mean, how come we haven't succeeded as a people? And the reason why is because privilege.
He's on CNN, you know that.
Yeah, I do. And he's eviscerating people eloquently who have racist chips on their shoulders.
Okay.
Yeah, he does great. But I think the thing is that
he has a voice.
He has a voice. He has a big voice. But what he has more than that is he has organizing ability. Bobby Hutton from the Black Panther said, "We're not outnumbered. We're out organized." And that's all it is. And that's why
I videotaped him like 15, 20 years ago.
And he's still going.
That was his mission, to get people out of jail.
And he did a lot of that.
He
did a lot of that, and the mission is still going. Because you remember, this is a $300 billion system.
It's hard to dismantle.
It's hard to dismantle something that's been See, you have to understand the criminal justice system. It's not a flawed system. It was built like this.
Oh.
Right?
You gotta go to the root.
Remember this: when jails started, they were putting black people in them, and we couldn't vote, and we still have that same system
going on.
Yeah. Not only mention that, but when you look at our constitutional protected rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, every single time race has been a factor in a constitutional case, they've destroyed our ability to actually sue based on racism. We can't prove it unless we have standing in a court, and you don't have standing unless you can prove that it's going to happen again. How do you prove that you have an overarching system of systemic oppression to a white supremacist system of systemic oppression? All right? You know what I'm saying? How do I prove to a cop that they did the wrong thing when their whole job is to say, no, we didn't? You know what I'm saying? They own the power. They own the resources. You know what I'm saying? So what we need to do is to lose faith in that system in order for it to change. We need cops to lose faith in that system for it to change. We need a revolution. period. We need a whole new system. And whether that revolution happens legislatively, which I don't think it will, because you know the old adage that you can't defeat the master, you can't dismantle the master's house with his own tools, right? So people say, hey, are you petitioning? Petitions don't do anything for a black struggle. You know what I'm saying? And no, I'm not going to go sue these cops. Like, how can I don't have financial resources to do that right now. And most of my people in my community don't either, you know? And there's some cool nonprofits that'll help you out, right? But as a whole, black people every black person needs a lawyer right now. You know what I'm saying? There's not enough lawyers to help black people out. But I think what we really need is to come together. I mean, it all comes down to love, and I know a lot of people think
President Obama has only like 6 months to go.
But President Obama can't and didn't do anything.
He couldn't do anything.
He can't and did not do anything. He talked about race 3 times, and the world blew up in America when he did, you know? And when he talked about race and said, you know, if I had a son, it would have looked like Trayvon Martin. Just expressing his pain of that little boy getting shot. He was called a racist, a bigot. They said he was dividing the nation and all this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you didn't see that? Oh,
no, but
sister, let me tell you about black struggle. One person is not going to change the system. The people have to change the system. One person can't do this. You have to understand racism not only is a set and structure of laws, but it's also in the hearts and minds of people. You know what I'm saying? How do you change the hearts and minds of everybody? Well, they can all die first off, so we can wait a couple generations till they're all gone, and hopefully that's
what Oprah said. She said all the racists must die.
Yeah, well, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards truth.
This is what she said. She said to eradicate racism, all the older generation must die first.
And that's something to be said, because racism is not just the fact that the prison industry has been built in a way to only mostly put brown and black people in there, and then white folks get caught in as well. But you have to understand that system is supported by people believing that it's the right way, you know? And you have to understand, if you are not part actively in putting brown bodies in there and you're just silent, then you're also part of my problem.
You have to speak up.
Yeah. And you also, if you're not a black person, you should be reading black books. You should be reading books on black oppression. You know, I'm not a woman, you know, but I read Audre Lorde. I try to read about patriarchy to understand what women go through. So now I don't tell women to smile on the streets anymore. And now I don't use the B word in my raps anymore, because I'm starting to be able to empathize a little bit more with women's struggles, because I've tried to step my toes into those shoes. All I can ask for white people to do is to do the same thing with us. Read black books. Look at black movies made by black people, not movies with black people in them written by white folks, which is what it mostly is. But read our works. Listen to our voices. Come to our shows. A lot of white folks, I feel, really comfortable salsa dancing, even though salsa is not their culture. But they don't feel comfortable immersing themselves into hip-hop, because we have these preconceived notions of what brown and black people are, and we don't feel comfortable in that space. When any white person can go to a salsa class and they'll be like, ooh, salsa, you know, I've tried this before, they don't mind that. But when they get into a brown or black space, culturally, they feel really uncomfortable, and that uncomfort comes from the conditioning that we have received from birth about who black people are, i.e., like Clinton said, super predators. And that's why when I smile and say hello, people grab their babies and sometimes walk across the street.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, it sucks for them.
Oh, okay. Let's do one last rap because we have time.
Okay. I can talk forever.
One last one.
All right. Let's see. Let's see. I'm the doctor, giving the dosage to the rap game infested by cockroaches. And now the prognosis is looking hopeless, because dopeness isn't something our kiddies even notice. We do all we can just trying to keep these eyes focused, just rapping over beats, trying to get the prognosis, but now the prognosis is looking hopeless. Oh man, I messed that one up. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh no.
Do something to summarize what we just talked about.
Let's see. You know what? I think I got a good one for you. I actually just wrote this one. And it's just really about these rappers in the industry.
Okay.
I stand on the corner with a weapon, possession, a fully automatic spitting lessons, no pulling punches. I'm stressing the real truth, never hunches. I'm serving lunches of real facts to bunches that walk by like, yeah, I talk fly. I raise G's, inspiring people to think higher of a culture I admire. That fire to see a tired eye in my class get wired trying to break dance. Rap, graffiti, they shy, but they try to take a chance in my class because it's hip hop, yeah. It's my culture. I educate the kids to lift their minds out the sofa. I educate the people on the streets just like I told you. We raise G's, pay the MCs, and take it over. That's hip hop for change in the nugget. The industry won't serve the people's needs, so we say, we created jobs to get support from the public and build our own stage, and now everybody loves it. So check out hiphopforchange.org. We're on Facebook. We have so many artists in the Bay Area that are really doing it. If you need activists to come speak to your kids in your schools, we do it. If you want to come see a hip-hop show, if you want to immerse yourself in a culture you don't know, check out Hip Hop for Change.
Are you going to send this video to...
I'll send it to the world.
To send it to Obama and everybody
I'll
else?
send it to Barack. If you're looking, man, I want to talk to you, brother.
Oh, okay.
Right,
maybe
peace.
he'll team up with you.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much. You've been wonderful.
Thank you for having me.